So it's been a long while now where places like Wizards of the Coast have done their absolute best to really drag their products through the mud in order to virtue signal to extreme fringe minorities. And one of the folks over at Paizo, the creators of Pathfinder, decided maybe we should get in on that insulting our customer base like mentality. So today, I'm going to point a little bit of this out, talk about it, kind of the state of tabletop gaming in general, which is not great. And let's get straight into it. So, my name's Ojiro. I've been making games for like a decade and a half now. So, mostly on the programming side, but like I have my whatever I've got to do for game design here and there. A lot of game design comes down to just critical thinking. Like if you've ever played a game and thought, or D&D especially, or Pathfinder, where you're like, what kind of strategies can I do to make myself super powerful? That's like, you're using game design. Now, today we're going to talk about this individual here, Jason Bullman, game designer. He's the director of games. It's generally director level positions are very important at places because they handle a lot of hiring for their teams. They also set the culture for their particular sections that they are a part of. I don't, in general, I don't want anyone to attack anyone online. I just bring this up for like a lot of awareness. Don't harass people. It's stupid. So a couple years ago, this individual would say this. Hold on, let me get out of the way here. I apologize. I'll just squeeze over here. Gatekeeping in the tabletop RPG space is ridiculous. Our hobby is far too small to exclude anyone, no matter their experience or interest level. If you play games, you're a gamer. If you make games, you're a game designer. If you like games, you're welcome here. Really, really positive stuff. Things changed over the past few years where this got brought up where he says, if Vance, being the incoming vice president of the United States, has played Pathfinder, I want him to send his books back. No space for fascists in our game. And a lot of things that we've seen over the years, at least here in the States. I think in parts of Europe as well, where a lot of individuals on the left will look at the opposing side and either call them far right or call them fascists. A lot of name calling, because that's kind of like their policy, is just call people names to get their way. So hold on, I gotta get a guy here. So this comes out. I'm a huge. I really don't like unforced errors for a lot of these companies. This is not new, where people at these companies know that if they make some kind of statement on social media and they have their like business associated and their title where they're like, oh yeah, I'm part of this. And I know some of you are going to be like pronouns in the bio, which, I mean, you're not wrong. But these individuals that are clearly representing their company, that are like, oh yeah, I'm so proud of being part of this company. And then they say these statements that alienate tremendous amounts of their player base. We've been seeing a lot of this through Dungeons and Dragons, where you've got like individuals that are championed by that community that are saying really foul things. The incoming like voice actor and person, the image they used for Ghost of Yote is like, oh, I hate TERFs, and to them TERFs is like 95% of the US population, because if you don't agree with their particular brand of trans rights, then you want to harm children, which is ironic. But this is not new in the space. We see stuff in like this is in the new player's manual for the new Dungeons and Dragons, where they're talking about anti-colonial play, because you have to be you can't live in a fantasy world. You need to do it correctly. They've gotten rid of the idea of evil races. Like orcs are no longer bad. Gnolls are no longer bad. They're just misunderstood. And like, oh, think of the orc families. It's the same kind of nonsense that we saw in what was that garbage Lord of the Rings production, Rings of Power, where the orcs were just oh, they just wanted to have their family and like everything was fine and they're just being misled. It's a total incapability of these individuals for separating the worlds that they build with the existing world. Um, and a lot of these places are built on sand, right? Like you've got these companies that come out with a tremendous amount of models to represent things on their tabletops. They're trying to sell you more books, but we can download PDFs. 3D printers are becoming cheaper and cheaper. 40K is currently on thin ice right now, where if they screw up their lore, they have nothing else. Like that is the most important thing they have. And if they keep stomping on that and insulting the player base at the same time, no one's going to be spending $100 US on these boxes when they could spend $200 on a 3D printer that's going to give them far better models for them to put on a table. It is truly insane behavior from a lot of these places. I just like pointing it out because I want everyone to vote with their wallets. I think this kind of behavior by individuals that are going to attack huge, like not only huge like parts of the population, I think this is really terrible, especially as a director. You've got this guy, he's going to be setting the tone for people that are under him. And if the tone he's setting at work, which I'm not alleging he is, like this is quite possibly just some stupid statement that he made online. He has since deleted this statement. He needs to stay off social media for a while if he's going to get up in his feelings like this. But this is not acceptable behavior. You need to separate your work from you speaking online. I don't put any of my workplaces on any of the things for this channel or my Twitter because I do not want to be in a situation where I say something eventually, because everyone says something stupid eventually, right? And then have somebody be like, "Oh, let me go after their employer," and it's right in the bio. They don't have to put a lot of effort in. That it's not. There are no positive outcomes for this kind of behavior when you are championing your company. Even if you're to be like, "Oh, well, these thoughts are my own." If your thoughts are your own, and you're seeing something where we've seen a lot of folks online where they say a bunch of racist things online and they're like, "Oh, don't worry, it's not racist because it's against white people." It's dumb, it's unprofessional, it's inappropriate, and it reflects poorly upon the company. Now, I hope that Pathfinder continues to be relatively successful. I enjoy Pathfinder a lot. I got into D&D in 3.5. I enjoyed 3.5 a lot. I think Pathfinder did a good job of building off 3.5. I think the versions after that, it all kind of just went downhill for me. Though I'm like, I've got some people I played with that were like, no, AD&D is the way to go. Everything else is downhill from there. So I'm assuming this is going to be like for other future generations are like, no, 4.0 is the best. 5.0 is the best. I think it's like whatever you get introduced to, right? But I'm not saying don't, to like, don't join your D&D groups or like form D&D groups or Pathfinder groups. Just don't buy things from people that hate you. I don't know enough about Paizo and a lot of their internal stuff, but if they are hiring the same kind of people that the folks at Dungeons and Dragons are hiring, I think we can all assume that it's going to go downhill from here. I feel like we need a whole new change of the guard for a lot of these companies because they've infested themselves with people that are more interested in virtue signaling than actually making worlds. Because the worlds and stories that these people create just get progressively worse and worse and worse. And I'm disappointed. I'm severely disappointed. But I've still got my, old copies of Pathfinder. I got my Book of Vile Darkness over there, Complete Warrior. I lost some books in a move at some point. That was really unfortunate. But I'm still going to have those memories with me. Still got all my dice sets at least. That's good. But that's all I got for today. If y'all got something that you want to add on it, feel free to add it in the comments. Subscribe for other games related content. I'm sure we'll have some kind of games news to talk about this week at least. I'm just waiting to hear for stuff. And in the meanwhile, I'm trying to write a story for a game to get that out of the way so I can start the eternal slog of like making art, which I'm not good at. But that's all for today. Thank you for your time and farewell.